The biggest villain in 90 Day History is actually an actress. We've obtained information from a TLC insider that suggests the entire family feud is now a completely staged act, and Sumit, Jenny, and his parents are all in on it together to keep the show and the money coming in. We have a screenshot of a leaked text message, a message that pulls back the curtain on the entire operation. It reads, quote, "Tell your mother the yelling in scene 4 was good. The network loved it. This isn't just about a relationship anymore. This is a production. Get ready, because the biggest lie in this entire saga isn't the catfishing. It's the show itself. This story goes deeper than you could ever imagine, and we have the receipts to prove it. Before we dive into the mountain of evidence, the insider reports, and the psychological breakdown of this massive deception, I need you to do one thing. If you are ready to see the matrix behind reality TV, if you're tired of being fed scripted nonsense disguised as real life, then prove it. Hit that like button right now, and more importantly, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You are not going to want to miss a single second of what's coming next, because we are about to blow the lid off the most calculated long-running performance in reality television history. Your subscription fuels these investigations, so do it now. Let's get into it. Let's start with the one single glaring question that has hovered over Sumit and Jenny's storyline from the moment his parents entered the picture. It's the question that, if you answer it honestly, unravels their entire narrative. Why? Why would this family, a family that claims to be so deeply concerned with their reputation, their societal standing, and their honor, continue to air their absolute dirtiest laundry on international television for year after year after year? It makes absolutely no sense. Think about the culture they come from, a culture where the concept of izzat, or family honor, is paramount. The reputation of the family unit is often considered more important than the happiness of any single individual. The neighbors, the community, the extended family, their opinions matter deeply. We've been told this by Sumit and his parents countless times. It's the very foundation of their conflict. Sadhna and Anil's primary objection to Jenny, we are led to believe, is not just the age gap, but the shame and dishonor it will bring upon their family name. They have cried, they have screamed, they have threatened disownment, all in the name of protecting the sacred family honor. So let's accept their premise for a moment. Let's assume they are a traditional, conservative Indian family completely obsessed with their public image. If that is true, then their behavior is not just contradictory, it is certifiably insane. What could possibly be more dishonorable than broadcasting your son's messy divorce, his forbidden love affair with an older American woman, and your own histrionic, tear-filled, screaming meltdowns to a global audience of millions? They have willingly shown the world every skeleton in their closet. They have let cameras capture their most intimate, painful, and embarrassing family disputes. They have turned their living room into a stage for relentless psychological warfare. A family truly concerned with izzat would handle this crisis in one way and one way only, behind closed doors. They would have quiet, serious conversations. They would involve family elders. They would seek mediation away from the prying eyes of the public. The absolute last thing they would do is sign a contract with an American television network to film the entire implosion. It's like claiming you have a crippling fear of heights and then volunteering to be a tightrope walker in the circus. The action completely invalidates the stated motivation. This logical inconsistency is the loose thread that, when you pull on it, the entire garment of their story falls apart. Why would they continue this public self-flagellation? Why has this private family matter become a multi-season television event? There is only one answer. There is only one motivation powerful enough to make a family completely betray their own stated cultural values. And that is a profit motive. It makes no sense unless you realize that their honor is no longer the priority. Their new priority is the TLC paycheck. The moment they realized that their drama was not just a source of shame, but a source of income, the entire dynamic shifted. The shame didn't disappear, but it was overshadowed by dollar signs, or, more accurately, rupee signs. The calculus changed. Every tear, every argument, every threat of disownment stopped being a genuine expression of pain and started being a line item on an invoice. The more drama, the more screen time. The more screen time, the bigger the paycheck. The bigger the paycheck, the more they are willing to sacrifice the very honor they claim to be protecting. It's a brilliant, if cynical, feedback loop. And once you see their story not as a family drama, but as a family business, everything, and I mean everything, suddenly clicks into place. They are not victims of a messy situation. They are the architects of a lucrative entertainment product. Now, let's dig into the conspiracy itself, starting with the most compelling piece of evidence, the financial angle. Let's be brutally honest about the economics of Sumit and Jenny's life. Jenny arrived in India on a fixed income. We know she's on Social Security. While that might provide a modest living in some parts of the United States, let's do the math. The maximum Social Security benefit is a few $1,000s a month, but most people receive far less. Let's be generous and say Jenny gets $1,500 a month. In India, that goes further. But is it enough to support 2 adults, rent a comfortable apartment in a decent area, pay for utilities, food, transportation, and all the other costs of living, especially with the constant uncertainty of visa renewals and legal fees? It's tight. It's very, very tight. Now let's look at Sumit. What is his high-paying career? For the longest time, it was working in a call center. While that's a respectable job, it's not known for its high salary, especially by Western standards. He has talked about starting a food business with his friend, but that seems to have been more of a storyline than a sustainable career. So you have one person on a fixed, modest retirement income and another with inconsistent, low to mid-level employment. Yet, they live a relatively comfortable life. They have a nice apartment, they seem to eat out, they travel. How? How are they funding this life? The answer is staring us right in the face. It's the answer they never ever discuss on camera. It's their salary from TLC. For reality TV stars on a long-running successful show like 90 Day Fiancé and its numerous spin-offs, the pay is not insignificant. Cast members on the main show can reportedly earn between $1,000 and $1,500 per episode. Foreign partners, technically, can't be paid until they have a work visa, but the show has ways of making sure the couple is compensated. When they graduate to spin-offs like Happily Ever After or The Other Way, those salaries can increase. Let's be conservative and say together as a couple, they are pulling in $2,000 an episode. A typical season has, let's say, 14 episodes. That's $28,000 for a few months of work. Plus, there are the tell-all specials, which pay a bonus. If they appear on 2 or 3 spin-offs in a single year, you are suddenly looking at a combined income that could be approaching $50,000, $60,000, or even $70,000. In India, that is a substantial amount of money. It's more than enough to live a very comfortable lifestyle, far beyond what Sumit's local job and Jenny's Social Security could ever provide. Their TLC salary isn't a little extra cash on the side. It is their primary source of income. It is their career. But the financial trail doesn't end with just Sumit and Jenny. This is where the conspiracy deepens. Let's talk about Sadhna and Anil. For years, they were presented as a humble, middle-class Indian couple, living in their family home. Then suddenly, in a recent season, what happens? They move. And they don't just move to a similar home down the street. They move into a brand new, modern, stylish apartment. It was noticeably more upscale than their previous residence. The kitchen was new, the furniture was new, everything was upgraded. And the show just breezes past this. But we need to stop and ask the question, how? How did they suddenly afford this significant lifestyle upgrade? Did Anil get a massive promotion at his age? Did they win the lottery? Or is there a much simpler explanation? They started getting their own TLC paycheck. They aren't just supporting characters in their son's story anymore. They are paid, contracted cast members. They are, in essence, business partners with Sumit and Jenny in the family enterprise of creating television drama. Imagine the conversation that took place off camera. Imagine the family sitting down, not as parents and son, but as co-workers. Sumit likely explained the financial reality. Mom, Dad, this is embarrassing. I know you hate this, but the American network, they love the drama. They love fights, and they are willing to pay for it. They are willing to pay us, all of us. Suddenly, Sadhna's role changes. She is no longer just a disapproving mother. She is an employee, and her job description is the villain. Her key performance indicator is how many dramatic, explosive scenes she can generate per season, and it appears she's been gunning for a promotion. That new apartment wasn't just a new home, it was a signing bonus. It was a tangible reward for her stellar performance as the mother-in-law from hell. This financial arrangement explains everything. It explains why they continue to participate. It explains their sudden lifestyle upgrade. And it explains why the drama, over the years, has started to feel less like a real family conflict and more like a poorly rehearsed stage play. They are no longer fighting with each other. They are collectively working together to secure another season, another contract, another paycheck. It's a family business, And business, it seems, is booming. If the money trail isn't enough to convince you, let's move on to the on-screen evidence. This requires you to rewatch their segments with a new critical eye. I want you to notice the distinct evolution in the nature of their conflicts. Think back to the early seasons. The fights felt raw, they felt real, they felt genuinely painful. When Sadhna and Anil first confronted Sumit about his secret marriage and his relationship with Jenny, the emotions were palpable. There was shock, there was betrayal, there was a cold, hard rage in Sadhna's eyes that felt unscripted and terrifying. The pain on Sumit's face, the desperation in Jenny's, it all felt authentic. Those were the reactions of a family genuinely imploding under the weight of lies and cultural clashes. The stakes felt incredibly high because it seemed like the relationships were truly on the verge of being severed forever. Now, fast forward to the more recent seasons. The other way. Happily ever after? Watch the fights now. Something has fundamentally changed. The de-escalation of genuine hatred is staggering. The arguments have become more frequent, more theatrical, but paradoxically, less impactful. They feel hollow. It's like watching a daytime soap opera. Notice the performance. Notice how Sadhna cries on cue now. In the early days, her anger was a quiet, simmering fury. Now, it's a grand theatrical display. Her hands go to her forehead. She lets out a dramatic wail. She collapses onto a nearby couch. But look closely at her eyes. Where are the tears? Often there are none. It's the physical performance of sadness without the genuine emotion behind it. It's a pantomime of distress. She has found her character, the hysterical, disapproving mother, and she is playing it to the hilt. She's not feeling the emotion. She's indicating the emotion. This is a classic actor's trick. And what about the father, Anil? His role in this theatrical production has also become suspiciously convenient. In the early days, he was often a silent, stoic figure, clearly uncomfortable and caught in the middle. Now, he's become the master of the dramatic entrance. Notice how the arguments are structured. Sadhna will escalate, Jenny will get defensive, Sumit will look helpless, and the tension will build and build until it reaches a crescendo. And then at the perfect dramatic moment, just when it feels like a commercial break is imminent, who conveniently steps in? Anil. He walks into the room, delivers a calm, measured speech, and acts as the voice of reason, effectively ending the scene. His timing is too perfect. It's not the timing of a real person intervening in a family fight. It's the timing of a stage manager or a director who knows exactly when a scene needs to conclude. These aren't organic, messy, unpredictable family fights anymore. They are scripted scenes with clear beats: the setup, the escalation, the climax, and the resolution, perfectly timed for a television edit. The shift from genuine conflict to staged performance is so obvious once you start looking for it. They're not fighting to resolve their issues, they're fighting to create content for their show. And this brings us to the most explosive part of this investigation, the insider testimony. We've managed to connect with a source, someone who allegedly worked on their segments in India. For their own protection and to avoid breaking their non-disclosure agreement, they have to remain anonymous. But what they told us paints a picture that is even more cynical and calculated than we could have imagined. This source, let's call them Deep Focus, claims that the family's on-screen drama is, in their words, about 80% manufactured at this point. Deep Focus alleges that it became common knowledge among the local crew that the family would have meetings before the TLC production crew arrived for the day. These weren't family meetings, they were production meetings. They would sit together and plan out the beats of the arguments they were going to have on camera. According to our source, they would literally rehearse. A producer might give them a premise, for example, today we want Sadhna to confront Jenny about her cleaning habits. The family would then take that premise and workshop it. The source claims they overheard conversations that sounded like blocking a scene in a play. Sadhna, you will start by picking up a dusty object. Sumit, you will try to defend Jenny, but then you will get a phone call and have to leave the room, leaving Jenny and your mother alone. Anil, you will be in the other room and will only come in when the yelling reaches a 10. It was, our source claims, completely premeditated. The arguments that we see as spontaneous outbursts of emotion were, in fact, pre-planned and rehearsed, sometimes multiple times, to get the right level of drama for the cameras. The most fascinating detail from our insider relates to Sadhna herself. We, the audience, see her as this rigid, traditional, and perhaps cruel matriarch. But according to our source, off-camera, Sadhna was a completely different person. She was apparently a natural at playing the villain. The source claims that far from hating the experience, Sadhna began to truly enjoy the fame and notoriety that came with her on-screen persona. She would read comments about herself online. She knew she was a character that people loved to hate, and she leaned into it. She saw it as a role, and she was proud of her performance. The source said, and I quote, "She would sometimes ask us after a big screaming scene, 'Was that good? Was my anger believable?' She was more concerned with her performance than with the actual family conflict. It was clear to us that she was having fun with it. She saw herself as the star of the show." This testimony reframes everything. The tormented mother is gone. In her place is a budding actress, a woman who has found a surprising late-in-life career playing a caricature of herself for an American television audience. The family feud isn't a source of pain for her anymore. It's her job, and by all accounts, she believes she's very, very good at it. The entire family, this source alleges, is a unit working together, not against each other. Their common enemy isn't Jenny or tradition, it's the threat of cancellation, and they will perform whatever drama is necessary to keep their hit show on the air. So, if it's all a performance, what is the end game? Is it just about cashing those 90-day Fiancé checks season after season? That's certainly a big part of it. But our theory, supported by a growing body of evidence and patterns seen across the TLC universe, suggests something much bigger, much more ambitious. This isn't just about their 90-day checks, this is an audition. The constant, escalating, yet ultimately circular drama. The introduction of more family members like Sumit's brother, Amit, and his wife. It's all part of a deliberate strategy. They are creating enough drama, building a large enough cast of characters, and establishing a strong enough brand to become the next Family Chantel. They are not just trying to stay on the other way or happily ever after. They are actively building a case for their own dedicated spin-off show. Think about the blueprint laid out by the Family Chantel. Pedro and Chantel started as a standard 90-day couple with a dramatic family conflict. Their families hated each other. There were screaming matches, dinner table brawls, and endless accusations. The drama was so intense, so consistent, and involved so many family members. Chantel's parents, Karen and Thomas, her siblings, River and Winter, Pedro's mother, Lydia, and sister, Nicole, that TLC realized they had lightning in a bottle. They had a universe of conflict that could sustain its own series. And thus, The Family Chantel was born, a show that ran for multiple seasons, turning the entire family into reality TV royalty. They built a franchise out of their dysfunction. Now, look at what Sumit's family is doing through that same lens. It's a carbon copy of the same strategy. You have the central couple, Sumit and Jenny. You have the powerful villainous mother-in-law, Sadhna, who is a perfect parallel to the notoriously meddlesome Karen. You have the more reasonable but often conflicted father figure, Anil. And now they have increasingly featured Sumit's brother, Amit, and his wife, Shri, in the storyline. Amit often plays the role of the mediator, the one caught between his parents and his brother, a classic reality TV archetype. They are slowly but surely building out their ensemble cast. Every new family member introduced is another potential storyline, another source of conflict, another character for the audience to invest in. They are methodically checking all the boxes required for the spin-off treatment. The Family Feud isn't just their storyline. They believe it's their golden goose. It's their ticket to the top tier of the TLC hierarchy. A dedicated show, tentatively titled something like Family Sumit or India Bound, would mean bigger paychecks, more creative control, and a level of reality TV fame that transcends the crowded 90-day universe. It would cement their status and guarantee their income for years to come. This is the ultimate goal. This is their long-term business plan. Every tearful confrontation, every manufactured crisis, every moving-in plotline is another brick in the foundation of their hopeful franchise. They are not just living their lives, they are building a brand. And the brand is built on the carefully constructed illusion of a family at war with itself. They aren't trying to solve their problems, because solving their problems would be bad for business. A happy, peaceful, well-adjusted family doesn't get a spin-off. A family locked in a perpetual theatrical Cold War, however, is primetime gold, and they know it. They've watched The Family Chantel, they've seen the model for success, and they are following that playbook to the letter, hoping that TLC will reward their performance with the ultimate prize, their own show. Now, let's put this entire theory to the test. Let's conduct a little experiment. I want you to bring to mind one of the most classic, vicious fights between Sadhna and Jenny. Maybe it's the one in the kitchen. Maybe it's the one where Sadhna threatened to end her own life if Sumit married Jenny. Picture the scene in your head. Remember the raw emotion you felt watching it the first time. The shock, the secondhand anxiety, the pity you felt for Jenny, the anger you felt towards Sadhna. You were likely watching it as a real, painful family moment. Now, let's watch it again. But this time, we're going to apply our new lens. We are going to watch it not as a documentary, but as a scripted performance. Put on your casting director hat. Don't see a mother and a potential daughter-in-law. See two actresses in a scene. Watch Sadhna. Is her body language genuinely enraged, or is it broad and theatrical, designed to be picked up by a camera from across the room? Listen to the words she's using. Are they the fumbling, repetitive, emotional words of someone in a real argument? Or do they sound a little too much like scripted dialogue, with a clear beginning, middle, and a dramatic end? Watch her breakdown. Is this a woman crumbling under the weight of family pressure and a broken heart? Or is it an actress fighting for more screen time, knowing that a bigger, more explosive reaction will guarantee her a spot in the season promo? Now look at Jenny. Watch her reactions. Is she a woman genuinely hurt and terrified? Or is she an actress playing her part, hitting her cues? Notice how she often seems to know exactly what to say to provoke the maximum response from Sadhna. It's a dance, a toxic but well-rehearsed dance. And Sumit, the man in the middle. Watch him. He wrings his hands, he looks at the floor, he plays the part of the tortured, conflicted son perfectly. But is he truly tortured, or is he just playing his assigned role in the scene? Once you start looking for the performance, you can't unsee it. The entire dynamic shifts. The stilted pauses feel less like moments of genuine thought and more like an actor waiting for their cue. The sudden escalations feel less like emotional outbursts and more like a director yelling, "Action!" The convenient resolutions feel less like genuine reconciliation and more like the end of a scene. The pain feels manufactured. The tears feel like glycerin. It stops being a tragic family drama and starts looking like a community theater production with a surprisingly high budget. This new perspective changes everything. The question is no longer, will this family ever find peace? The question becomes, how long can these actors keep their show on the air? So, where does that leave us, the viewers? It leaves us with a choice. We can continue to consume this content at face value, riding the emotional roller coaster that the producers and the family have so carefully constructed for us. Or we can choose to see behind the curtain. We can acknowledge that what we are watching is not reality, but a carefully crafted product, an entertainment business run by a family of surprisingly savvy performers. Have we all been scammed? Has this entire emotional journey we've been on with Sumit and Jenny been based on a lie? Has the entire family, Sumit, Jenny, Sadhna, Anil, the whole cast, been playing us for fools from the very beginning, laughing all the way to the bank? The evidence is compelling. The financial motive is clear. The evolution of their on-screen behavior is undeniable. And the insider testimony paints a damning picture. It seems the greatest love story, or the greatest tragedy, depending on your point of view, was actually the greatest acting job in 90-Day Fiancé history. Now I have to turn it over to you. Based on everything we've laid out, what do you believe? Is this family's drama real, or is it a fake? Scripted performance for a paycheck? Let me know your verdict in the comments below. I want to hear every theory, every piece of evidence you've noticed. And if you want more of these deep dives, more behind-the-scenes secrets, and more exposés that the networks don't want you to see, do me a favor and smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You won't regret it. Let's pick up right where we left off, because the rabbit hole goes so much deeper. We've established the motive, money, and a spin-off. And we've established the method, turning their family life into a staged performance. But now we need to examine the masterpiece of their deception, the single greatest piece of evidence that this is all a calculated production, the Sadhna Moves In storyline. This entire arc was not a desperate last-ditch effort for a mother to connect with her son's fiancé. This was, from start to finish, a meticulously plotted season of television, designed for maximum conflict and screen time. It was their pilot season for Family Sumit. Let's break it down like a television writer would. What's the concept for the season? Forced proximity. It's one of the oldest and most effective tropes in storytelling. You take two characters who despise each other and you lock them in a house together. The conflict writes itself. The producers, likely in collaboration with the family, knew this would be gold. So, Act 1 begins. The setup. Sadhna and Anil announce they want to move in with Sumit and Jenny. The stated reason? To teach Jenny how to be a good Indian wife. This premise is, on its face, utterly absurd. A woman in her 60s who has run her own household for decades is going to be taught how to clean and cook by a woman who despises her? Does that sound like a real, organic family decision? Or does it sound like a high-concept pitch for a sitcom from hell? It's the latter. It is the perfect engine for generating weekly conflict. Then we move into Act 2, the execution. And this is where the performance truly shines. We were treated to a series of lessons that were perfectly designed for television. The kitchen scenes were a masterclass in passive aggression and manufactured drama. Sadhna would criticize Jenny's hygiene, her cooking methods, and her very presence in the kitchen. Every interaction was a miniature drama, a perfectly contained scene with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Notice that the arguments were never about anything truly deep or unresolvable. They were about the placement of utensils, the cleanliness of the counter, and the way to sweep the floor. These are low-stakes, easily resolvable conflicts that can be stretched out for an entire episode. It's classic filler content, designed to create the illusion of constant tension without ever actually threatening the central plot. It's the reality TV equivalent of a bottle episode. And Jenny played her part perfectly, feigning incompetence and frustration, acting as the audience's surrogate. Her exasperated confessionals to the camera are not the cries of a tortured soul, they are the narrative glue holding the episode together. And what about the climax of this storyline? The introduction of the astrologer. Again, ask yourself, does this feel real? After weeks of torturous cohabitation, the resolution to their deep-seated animosity is a conveniently timed visit from an astrologer who, surprise, surprise, gives his blessing. This is not real life. This is a deus ex machina. It's a plot device used by lazy writers to resolve an impossible situation. The astrologer served one purpose: to provide a story-approved reason for Sadhna to finally back down, allowing the season's central conflict to end and paving the way for the next one, the wedding. The entire Sadhna Moves In arc was a self-contained season of television. It had a setup, rising action, a series of episodic conflicts, and a contrived resolution. This was not a family crisis. This was a writer's room in action, and the entire Singh family, Jenny included, were the writers, producers, and the stars of their own show. Now, to fully appreciate the genius of this production, we must do a deep dive into the individual performers. Let's analyze the character archetypes they have so brilliantly embodied. First, the star of the show, the breakout character, Sadhna. Her transformation has been the most remarkable. She has evolved from a genuinely distressed mother into a magnificent reality television diva. Her role is the obstacle. In every great story, the hero needs an obstacle to overcome, and Sadhna has embraced this role with theatrical flair. She understands that her function in the narrative is to say no. No to the relationship, no to the marriage, no to Jenny's way of life. But her performance is layered. She's not just a one-note villain. She has perfected the art of the dramatic mood swing. One moment, she is the raging monster, screaming and threatening. Next, she is the weeping victim, crying about her health and the family's honor. This emotional whiplash keeps the audience engaged and off balance. It's a classic performance technique. Off camera, as our insider suggested, she is likely a very shrewd woman who understands her market value. She knows that every tear, every tantrum, translates directly into job security. She is the engine of the show, and she knows it. Then we have Sumit, the supposed protagonist of this story. His role is the tortured soul. He is the man caught between two worlds, between his love for Jenny and his duty to his family. His entire performance is built on one key element: passivity. His constant hand-wringing, his pained expressions, his inability to make a decision, this is all a carefully constructed persona. But is he truly this helpless? Or is his passivity a strategic choice? By refusing to ever definitively solve the problem, he guarantees that the central conflict of the show can continue indefinitely. He is not a victim of the drama, he is the architect of it. He is the one who keeps the two opposing forces, Jenny and Sadhna, in the same orbit. He is the puppet master, not the puppet. His performance is subtle but crucial. He plays the straight man, allowing the more flamboyant characters of his mother and his wife to have the spotlight, while he quietly directs the narrative from the center, ensuring the story machine never runs out of fuel. He learned from his first great performance, the catfishing, that a long-running lie creates a long-running storyline. Next is Jenny, the sympathetic heroine. Her role is to be the audience's entry point into this world. We are meant to see the story through her eyes. Her performance is based on a perpetual state of bewildered exasperation. She's the classic fish out of water. She has to appear just strong enough to endure the abuse, but just vulnerable enough to keep the audience rooting for her. A key part of her performance is the selective amnesia she seems to suffer from. Season after season, she expresses shock and surprise when Sumit's family objects to their relationship, as if it's the first time it's ever happened. This is a necessary narrative device. If her character were to truly learn and adapt, she would either leave Sumit or the conflict would have to end. So she must remain in a state of suspended disbelief, allowing the same dramatic beats to be played out over and over again. She is a willing participant in this cycle. Her frustration may be real on some level, but her continued participation in the show proves that she too understands the rules of the game. The paycheck and the lifestyle it affords are worth the price of playing the part of the long-suffering fiancé. Finally, we have the crucial supporting character, Anil, the voice of reason. His role is deceptively simple but structurally vital. He is the show's narrator in disguise. After a chaotic, emotionally charged scene, Anil is the one who often steps in to calmly summarize the situation, explain the cultural context, and reset the narrative for the audience. He provides the exposition. His calm demeanor is the perfect counterbalance to Sadhna's hysteria. This makes the family seem less like a pack of irrational maniacs and more like a complex unit with differing viewpoints. He makes the drama feel more grounded and therefore more believable. But his reason is always tempered. He never actually solves the problem. He will calm a situation down, but he will always end his speech by reaffirming the core conflict, stating something like, "I understand both sides, but this is a very difficult situation." His job is to manage the chaos, not eliminate it. He ensures the show can go on. Together, these four individuals form a perfectly balanced ensemble cast, each playing a specific archetypal role necessary for a long-running, successful drama series. Now, I want you to reconsider the foundational event of this entire saga. The original sin, Sumit's catfishing of Jenny as Michael Jones. We all viewed this as a sordid, pathetic lie, the act of a lonely man deceiving an older woman. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the catfishing wasn't just a lie to Jenny? What if it was Sumit's first brilliant audition for TLC? Think about it. What did that storyline have? It had a shocking reveal. It had international intrigue. It had years of built-in mystery and deception. It had a secret arranged marriage. It had a confrontation with the in-laws. It was a pre-packaged, multi-season drama, all created by one man's elaborate lie. When Sumit came clean to the producers, they didn't see a pathetic liar. They saw a content-generating prodigy. He proved from day one that he was capable of creating and sustaining a high-stakes, long-form narrative. He demonstrated a willingness to do whatever it takes to create a compelling story. That initial deception wasn't the unfortunate backstory to their 90-day journey, it was the resume that got him the job. He showed the network that he understood instinctively what makes for good television: secrets, lies, and a seemingly endless well of conflict. The entire family drama that followed wasn't a consequence of this lie. It was a continuation of it, a second act made possible by the success of the first. He's not just a cast member, he is, in many ways, a co-creator of his own show. To understand the Singh family's strategy, you have to see them within the larger reality TV ecosystem that TLC has cultivated. They are not operating in a vacuum. They have watched other 90-day fiancé couples rise and fall. They have seen what works and what doesn't. They've seen the one-season wonders who have a single explosive storyline and then fade away. And they've seen the titans of the franchise, the ones who turn their 15 minutes of fame into a multi-year career. They've studied the playbook of stars like Angela Deem, who understands that constant, outrageous conflict keeps the cameras rolling. They've seen the Potthas family turn their internal squabbles into a spin-off by getting every single family member involved in the drama. They've watched Big Ed turn his own cringeworthy behavior into a cottage industry. The Singhs are smart. They have learned from their predecessors. They realized that their unique selling proposition was the East meets West cultural clash, personified by the mother-in-law from hell. And they have milked that premise for all it's worth, refining their performances season after season. They saw the blueprint for franchise success in the Family Chantel and have been systematically replicating it. They are not just participants in a reality show, they are students of the genre, and they are aiming for the top of the class. So let your imagination wander for a moment. Picture this. The TLC crew packs up their cameras and lights for the day. The door closes. The house is quiet. What happens next? Does the screaming continue? Does Jenny retreat to her room in tears while Sadhna fumes in the kitchen? Or does something else happen? I want you to picture Sadhna walking over to Jenny, putting a hand on her shoulder and saying in a perfectly calm voice, "That was a good take. I think the network will like that one. You looked genuinely upset." Picture Sumit coming out of his room, no longer looking tortured, but looking like a director after a successful shoot. "Okay, tomorrow, let's try the scene about the finances again. Mom, I need you to be a little more accusatory. Jenny, I want you to storm out this time." Picture all of them sitting down at the dinner table together, eating a meal that Jenny cooked without any criticism, and discussing their storylines for the next week as if they were business colleagues planning a project. They might even laugh about the absurdity of it all. This is the most likely reality. The on-camera hatred is a product they create. The off-camera reality is a business partnership. They are a family of actors who clock in, put on a dramatic performance for their bosses at TLC, and then clock out. The family we see on screen is a work of fiction. The real family is a production company. And this brings us to the biggest question of all. If this is all fake, what does it say about us? What does it say about the entertainment we choose to consume? The lines between reality and performance have become so blurred that we can no longer tell the difference. We crave drama, we crave conflict, and networks like TLC, along with families like the Singhs, are more than happy to manufacture it for our consumption. They have hacked our brains. They know that a screaming match will hold our attention longer than a quiet, loving conversation. They know that a villain we can hate is more compelling than a person we simply understand. We are all complicit in this charade. Our views, our comments, our emotional investment, it all fuels the machine. It validates their strategy and guarantees their renewal for another season. Sumit, Jenny, and his family didn't just scam TLC, they scammed all of us. They held up a mirror to our own appetite for dysfunction and sold it back to us at a premium. Once you realize that, once you see their story not as a tragic romance, but as a cynical business venture, you can never watch 90 Day Fiancé the same way again. The entire genre reveals itself for what it is, a collection of scripted dramas performed by a cast of ambitious actors, all fighting for the one thing that truly matters in this world: more screen time. And this brings us to the biggest question of all. If this is all fake, what does it say about us? What does it say about the entertainment we choose to consume? The lines between reality and performance have become so blurred that we can no longer tell the difference. We crave drama, we crave conflict, and networks like TLC, along with families like the Singhs, are more than happy to manufacture it for our consumption. They held up a mirror to our own appetite for dysfunction and sold it back to us at a premium. So I have to turn it back over to you. After hearing all the evidence, the financial motive, the de-escalation of genuine conflict, the insider testimony, and the master plan for a spin-off, what is your final verdict? Have we all been scammed by the entire family? Is this a story of love against the odds, or is it the most elaborate, long-running acting job in reality TV history? Let me know if you believe this is real or fake in the comments below. I want to read every single theory. And if you want more of these deep dives, more behind-the-scenes secrets that expose the truth behind your favorite shows, then prove it. Smash that like button, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we are just getting started.